It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back in studio, All-Star panelist Clint Brewer. Welcome, Clint.
Thanks, man. Glad to be here.
On our newsmaker line, making news, our friend Robbie Starbuck. Welcome, Robbie.
Hey, how are you doing?
Well, Robbie, we are again impressed by your DEI reduction or elimination victory. Walmart yesterday. Tell us about that big announcement.
Well, this was big. I mean, this, sort of the magnum opus so far of the work we've done to eliminate wokeness from corporate America. But basically, we've been working on this for months. I've been very clear that we've been meticulous in how we've planned out the timing of which companies we do at which times. But we wanted everything to be perfect because this is the largest employer in America. Okay, we're talking about a company worth about $1 trillion. So, it wasn't lost on us. This was going to be a very, very difficult one, right? And so we sort of anticipated a David versus Goliath fight. We went to them last week on Wednesday when we saw that one of their, or actually multiple of their top executives were perusing my LinkedIn page. This happened because purposefully, this is kind of getting in the weeds here, but in the last week that we do our reports, we go through their LinkedIn pages so they can see that we're looking at them, right? And then they're looking back and we see the level of who it is. And so we said, you know what, okay, it's time to show them what we have. So we went to them and showed them what we had. And we said, listen, we just want to fact check this and, kind of get with you guys, see if you have anything that you guys are claiming we got wrong, so we can correct that ahead of time. And instead what we got is, after they watched what we had, it's about 20, it's a long thing, okay? After they watched it, they said, we'd like to have a discussion, actually. And so we entered into a discussion period where we discussed exactly how they could correct these issues. And at the end of it, it was very productive, and we ended up at a place where, they agreed to all of the major things that we felt were very important for consumers to be able to trust them going forward. And the truth is, people ask me, do you trust that they're actually going to change? And the truth is, yes, I do, because I trust that they fear exactly what we were able to expose enough that they are going to be on good behavior and they're going to really be an alternative. And this is great for consumers. We're right before Christmas, and if you talk about the big three, it's Amazon, Target, Walmart, right? All of them had woke policies, and now one of them has dropped it, and they stand to benefit from that. So I think this is actually a great consumer study case, too, because you're going to see people flee Target, flee Amazon, and go, okay, we're going to go to Walmart. They dropped these policies because that financial incentive encourages Amazon and Target to do the same thing. So I'm very hopeful that we're going to see even more movement as a byproduct of this. But if you think about the downstream effects of Walmart changing, Walmart has countless supplier companies that have had all this pressure put on them to adopt wokeness. Well, now suddenly all those companies no longer have that pressure. And so you're going to see a cascading effect within those groups that are suppliers to Walmart where they drop this stuff as well. So it's not just the millions of employees Walmart has. It's not just the trillion-dollar company. It's all of those suppliers, which are many, multi-billion-dollar companies themselves. So I think that this is going to have massive effect on the marketplace. But the most important thing about it is psychological. It's why this was our most important priority for this year, was getting this company to change, because psychologically to other corporations, Walmart is the behemoth in the U.S. marketplace. If anybody could afford to fight us, if anybody could afford to dig in and say, we think we can beat this guy, it was Walmart. And
why
Walmart
do you think, Robbie,
put up their hands and surrendered?
Why do you think they reached out to you when they knew you were preparing something and then you shared what you had with them? Why do you think somebody had the intelligence at the highest level of Walmart to kind of, understand, talk to you, and make those adjustments? I mean, that is a big attitudinal change from the CEO, the top level of Walmart.
Yeah, it's a financial reality, to be really frank. I'm not convinced that the majority of people, at corporate agree with me in any sense. I do think that there are people who do. Don't get me wrong. There certainly are. But there's certainly those who are vehemently opposed to me. But there's a financial reality that companies can't escape. We've proven that we have a serious financial effect on companies. Let's start from the very beginning. Our very first one was Tractor Supply. They lost almost $3 billion in market cap during our campaign. John Deere was next. They lost almost $10 billion, okay? Then you go to Harley Davidson. Okay, Harley, I would argue, in the long run is going to have the biggest negative effect of any of our campaigns, because if you look at their recent report, their earnings report, it's horrific. It only captured a sliver of our boycott, right? And in that sliver of time, it was enough to drop their earnings by 20% of what was expected, okay? Now, extrapolate that across a full quarter. I have heard from Harley dealers who have said, this is not just an ongoing issue. This is a nightmare. The value of Harleys, there's big news stories on this. The value of Harleys has gone down massively. You're talking about bikes that were selling for $30,000 now selling for $5,000. Okay, so they've had just a nuclear reality come to their doorstep. Companies have seen all the financial metrics, and they understand now that this goes really far. These campaigns have been so successful. In Harley's case, we added up the impressions of our campaign. On just my social media accounts, it was over 1 billion with a B impressions. Companies pay massive money to get an ad campaign that goes that far because it has a real influential effect, right? Well, that's just my social media. When we extrapolate it out to every other influential account that shared those stories, we're talking about billions of impressions. So companies can't afford to dig in with us because we will continue every single day dropping new information. And it's really a nightmare situation for companies. So they understand now, enough companies have tried different tactics with us, that the best thing you can do is come to the table, figure out sensible changes. And I've shown that I'm a very reasonable person. I'm not asking them to adopt my politics. I'm asking them to be neutral and get wokeness out of the workplace and stop
We
shoving
can
it down
attest to
people's
the
throats.
fact, Robbie, that you are a very reasonable person. Now, let me throw this out to you. It's kind of interesting. So a big win with Walmart. You mentioned the big three, Walmart, Target, and Amazon. Target, which has embraced DEI, has had very disappointing recent earnings results. It would seem to me that if they looked at what Walmart has done, they might say, hey, if we got rid of this DEI stuff, we might be able to make a little bit more money. Are you looking at talking to the guys at Target?
I think they're having that conversation right now. That would be my prediction. I think they're having that conversation right now, and they're probably they can't wait probably for me to reach out to them, and we will reach out to them in the right time. I do think a company like Target at the executive level needs to suffer a little bit for what they've done, because they were true believers at Target. There's a difference. They were true believers, 100%. There is a difference and distinction for me. I will treat companies fairly. When I feel like they got dragged into this, it's much easier to get them out. When there's true believers on board, like there was at Harley and like there is at Target, I think they kind of deserve, the reckoning that is kind of being brought here. But yeah, no, I think we're going to see other big retailers jump on board here and realize this is an opportunity. And especially right now, there's a major opportunity after Walmart, because now you're not such a big story, right, if you drop it. And I think that's going to be an added effect for these companies to say, okay, this is much easier. Let's just do this. Let's get out of the wokeness business. It has done us nothing but bring us harm. Big question.
Last question for you, Robbie. I went to Stanford Business School. I read a lot about what's going on at Harvard Business School, Wharton Business School. Have any of the major marketing professors or deans at any of these business schools called you up and say, Robbie, come on in and talk to our class about how you were able to make these major corporations change their policies on DEI?
That is a very good question. You're the first person to ask me that. So I have had professors at a lot of business schools reach out to me and want to have conversations. None of them have asked me to come into class yet, but I would suspect they probably will at some point. But we've had these conversations, and some of them have different politics than me, but have been just very impressed by kind of how we've done this. And they understand the reality that this is going to shift corporate culture, and this is sort of like a new era of culture. I think you go in waves.
And on that, Robbie Starbuck, congratulations. Job well done. You've really changed the face of American business and American culture. Well done. Thanks for joining us today,
Thank
Robbie.
you. Thank you. I'm listening to God, and I'm an obedient, son of God, and that's it. And I'm going where He leads me.
Well, you've done a very good job. Thanks, Robbie. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, Clint, isn't that a story?
Fascinating.
We'll have more when we get back. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Hi folks, John Fredericks here for Freedom Alliance. Veterans are still struggling with the wounds of war. They came home with injuries that changed them forever. The flag-burning troublemakers in our streets remind me how fortunate we are to have patriots who served and fought, sacrificed, and never complained. We need to support them through organizations like the Freedom Alliance. It's Military Appreciation Month and time to support those who serve. Freedom Alliance is caring for combat veterans and military families. Combat veterans fought in the worst, most dangerous places on earth. Freedom Alliance takes them to nature's most relaxing locations so they can heal. Freedom Alliance gives injured troops mortgage-free homes, new cars, and all-terrain wheelchairs. For wounded vets, there's nothing like the stability of your own home, the reinsurance of a reliable vehicle, or the independence of a wheelchair that navigates snow, ice, beach, pasture, or most any terrain. Let's fight for those who fought for us. Go to freedomalliance.org/Godzilla and make a monthly gift that will improve the life of a military hero. That's freedomalliance.org/Godzilla. Make a contribution today.
If you're like me, most moms find it difficult to prioritize self-care. Hi, it's Colleen, Program Director at the John Fredericks Media Network. With the demands of programming 13 radio stations, it's easy to forget about the things I should do for myself daily. And that's why I started with our company's Women's Challenge with Native Path Collagen Peptides. It's affordable and convenient care in just one scoop a day. There are so many incredible health benefits like bone and joint support, metabolism booster, and hair, skin, and nail improvement. I like to take a moment each day to prioritize myself and indulge in the health-boosting benefits of Native Path Collagen Peptides. I love mixing it up with all the different smoothie recipes, too. Learn more about Native Path Collagen Peptides and read 7 important reasons why you should be taking collagen peptides at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Prioritize your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
Target.com. Target.com is an online e-commerce tire retailer. We are here to serve the American public with the best possible customer service, the best pricing, and we make it extremely easy. We have many name brands and a lot of low-cost tires. The price is right, and it's easy. You go online to Target.com, Tireget.com, Target.com. You go there, you put your zip code in, all the inventory displays right in front of you. You can call in for help if you want to. We'll help you get the tire that you need. But we will take the tires you buy and at no extra charge deliver them to the dealer right by your house where they will be installed at the market price. It's easy. The best price, the best service. Great people to deal with. Thank you for going to Target.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
In studio, all-star panelist, recovering journalist, good friend, public affairs specialist, Mr. Clint Brewer. Clint, Robbie Starbucks' effect on corporations in America to basically drop DEI is a spectacular success story.
Yeah, I mean, he's really good at this. He's a lot better at it than he was a congressional candidate, but he's made an impact. I mean, he's a very effective activist, and he's hit the Walmart thing at the right time. I mean, you can look at the election map. There's clearly a cultural and political realignment happening in this country. Walmart is up something insane like 63%
in their profits.
Yeah. This year, and Target's down 9%.
Why is that?
Well, what the information I gathered about it was that Walmart's making huge gains in affluent households. So households with household income of $100,000 or more is what is considered.
They used to shop at Target. And now they're shopping at Walmart?
Yeah, or they just wouldn't shop at Walmart, right? There was a snob factor there. And I think that I think there's a few things. One, I think there is a cultural shift. And two, I think that inflation has gotten everybody a bit, right? I think that people are looking for deals. I think they're looking to be cost effective with their shopping, bang for the buck. And Walmart offers that. Walmart's always offered that. And, Walmart has its critics, but I can tell you, as somebody who does a lot of my family's shopping, there's a lot of reason to go to Walmart. He's hit this at the right time. Good timing also makes a good actor.
I think the store experience, Walmart versus Target, it's a little nicer store at Target, I think, than
Can
Walmart.
be, yeah.
But I do think he's onto something in this regards. I mean, the management, the top level CEO executives at Target are really hardcore DEI,
right,
and have been for a long time.
There's a cultural commitment to it,
Yeah.
within Target, right, and I think that is part of the reason why they may not be locked into the zeitgeist in this country right now.
Not locked into the zeitgeist of the country. That is a public affairs specialist lingo that really hits it. That's good. I have a concern I want to share with you and see if you can help me address this.
Okay.
Understand how.
Want me to talk you off the ledge, Mike? Is that what you want me to do?
Well, for 16 years we were at a ledge.
Right.
I feel.
Right.
Right. But for 3 weeks we're not on the ledge anymore.
Well, there's been a bit of a euphoria that many on the right are experiencing right now.
A bit of euphoria.
Right.
It's
right.
like, I thought before that Trump would win between 287 and 312 electoral college votes. I thought it would be a stretch to win the popular vote, but he won the popular vote by 1.6%.
Right.
And he got 312 electoral college votes. It's pretty much, I would call it a mandate. And on the left, they say, well, he only won by 1.6%. I mean, the last Republican to win by that much was George W. Bush,
right,
to win the popular vote.
Yeah.
In 2004.
The second time.
Yeah, the second in 2004, and I don't think he won the popular vote by that much. I have to double check. I think it's about 1.5%.
Yeah, but the next 54 days.
Well, this is my concern. This is a weird, they call it an interregnum, and we've got Joe Biden. Is he calling any shots, or is it the?
Yeah, it's a big question, right? I mean, he's been more visible now that the election's over. He's been more active. But yeah, it's a great question. I think it's been a question during a lot of his presidency. Particularly after we saw the debate with President-elect Trump, is how much of the country is he actually running? I think that's still a question. I don't know that we're ever going to know. Unless somebody like a Bob Woodward dives in and actually writes a book, and I don't think he will on that topic.
Not on that topic.
It's a huge question, and I look at things. I look at what the American people voted for when they voted for Trump, and they certainly didn't vote for an expansion of the war in Ukraine. Yet now we've agreed to allow Ukraine to shoot missiles deeper into Russia, and you have things like that going on. I did listen to a news broadcast, and there was a sort of a debate about national security, and now we've got North Koreans fighting in Ukraine. So I mean, it's troubling. Like, what is going on? If we hadn't had an election in years past, that would be the preeminent story in a world, like a global catastrophe waiting to happen, right? I mean, you're actually seeing troops from a hostile, Asian power coming across the continent to fight in Europe. I mean, I don't really remember the last time in human history that happened. So, I don't think it's been in the last 2 centuries. So, I mean, we're in, to use a COVID phrase, some unprecedented times. And, I don't think people are really focused on that, and I think it is a dangerous time. I don't know it's dangerous within the walls of this country, but I think it is dangerous to American interests globally.
Looking at where we are in Ukraine right now, and there are reports all the time. There's a recent report that half of the money has been grifted that we sent to Ukraine, and Putin, who knows what he's going to do, right? And who knows what Zelensky's going to do.
Well, one of the last aid bills didn't even go to Ukraine. It went to replenish our own store of munitions that we had given away.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
I mean, that's not,
yeah.
That's not tactically something you want to consider as a country with as many responsibilities as we have.
Yeah, exactly right. And look, I think right now that this reminds me of another period in history. World War One, the beginning of World War One.
Right.
Where, my view has been, always been, that was a completely unnecessary war.
An avoidable war.
An avoidable war where the leaders just made so many bad decisions. And millions of Europeans and 250,000 Americans died in that war.
Right.
And it was all for naught.
Right. Well, and it was all, I mean, you also had sort of a minor leader's death tipped the whole thing off, right? I mean, and I mean, Zelensky has certainly promoted himself to the front of the line. I mean, he's made himself a cause celeb in certain, aspects of geopolitical affairs. But at the same time, how consequential is Ukraine to what goes on in the rest of the world? I'm not saying what's happening to them is fair, and I'm not saying what's happening to them is good. It's not. But at the same time,
is it worth escalation? It's not, I don't think, because it has tremendous natural resources. It's like the wheat belt. It's the grain capital of much of Europe, and Putin's invasion was an unfair invasion.
Right.
But there have been a lot of unfair invasions in history.
Well, and I mean, I think you're seeing the net effect of Trump's election, I mean, on these kind of matters. I mean, I keep seeing reports that, Hezbollah and Israel are searching for a ceasefire, searching for...
I've seen that also, yeah.
So, I mean, I think that... I think we're working towards something that's a safer world. I think we're moving towards something that's less of a threat to America. Internally, what are the dangers? I don't know that we're facing any real dangers on the ground here. The prosecutions of the former President-elect Trump, are going away. I think that we already Republicans have control of the House. So
I think when I looked at it, it was like 220, to 214, something like that.
Well, yeah, and I for all of the accusations of everyone on the right being fascists and Nazis, apparently President Biden and the First Lady are going to attend the inauguration. So, it feels like we're going back to a place of, sort of sanity, I guess.
I think maybe. I mean, Biden, he was serving meals yesterday in New York. And as an aside, he told somebody that he'd been fired. He was fired.
Yeah, by his own party.
By his own party, Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
It's weird. I think my guess of what's going on is the levers of power are being controlled by the Obama acolytes behind the scenes.
Right.
And Bannon and Biden is just kind of going through the motions right now.
Well, I agree with that. I think politically the biggest danger is, if you're a Democrat. I mean, I actually, Rahm Emanuel to be the party chair. Did I read that right?
I've heard that, yeah.
I mean, there's this, political parties go through phases, and it just feels at the moment, and I think the election results bear this out, the Democratic Party at many levels is disconnected from the American voter. And I think that's clear from the election results. But, they keep reaching back to the Obama administration. And I guess because that's the last time they were sort of proud of what they were doing. And, they're reaching back. They reached back during the campaign. They tried to make, Vice President Harris a hope and change candidate, even though she was in office. And, even with the imagery and with all their messaging.
That's what they tried.
And they brought Obama campaign people in who were, 8 years out of the running.
And they were stale.
Yeah, they were stale. And this, Rahm Emanuel defaulting back feels stale. So I don't know there's any danger on the ground for Americans, but globally, it's a pretty dicey place.
We'll have more with Clint Brewer when we come back. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. say a few words about our friends at the Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road. The Nashville Pizza Company in Franklin reminds us that the current economic times have been tough on many families in our area, and many are finding it hard to make ends meet. Your donations of clothing or canned goods can make a difference for a family in need. During this holiday season, give from the heart so others can have a new start. That's courtesy of our friends at Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road in Franklin. They are always working to keep our community moving in a positive direction.
My fellow Americans, my good friends, I've known them for a long time, at D.T. McCall & Sons have the deal of a lifetime for you, and nobody knows deals like I do. That much I can tell you. Nobody knows deals like I do. The lumber yards, they can hit you with hidden charges for up to $200 extra. They'll charge you for cords and hoses and haul-offs. Your money goes all over the place and out of the state, and most importantly, out of your pockets. How do they get away with that? I don't know how they do that, but on day one, if you buy from McCall's, we are going to stop the hidden charges as soon as you buy it. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. Head to one of their stores today or check them out at dtmccalls.com. You're going to love it. Believe me.
Impersonator not endorsed
This
by
summer,
Donald
never
Trump.
leave pets in vehicles while running errands. Even with windows cracked, 80 degrees can shoot up to 120 degrees, causing heat stroke, dehydration, and even death. So keep pets hydrated, shaded in cool areas, or just leave them at home. That's from Kathy, Candy, and the staff at Mutts Cuts Grooming, the people with warm hearts for those with cold noses. For your pet's grooming needs, call 931-645-9220. That's 931-645-9220 for Mutts Cuts Grooming in Clarksville, Tennessee at 1479 Tiny Town Road.
Hey there, this is Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. In studio, our very good friend, recovering journalist, all-star panelist, public affairs specialist, Clint Brewer. Clint, do you agree with me that I think we are in a new era in America?
A new era.
A new era.
How so?
Well, I'll give you an example.
I mean, is this about Wicked coming out this weekend, or what? What are we talking about? What kind of new era? Is this about the Vols about to win a national championship in football and basketball? What are we talking about here?
Well, they won it in baseball.
I know, that's what I'm saying. We need the trifecta.
I think, I don't know how many losses they have now. Two.
They need to beat Vanderbilt this weekend.
Yeah, they got to beat Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
If they beat Vanderbilt, maybe.
The projection is, if we beat Vanderbilt, the projection is Tennessee hosting a game in Neyland Stadium against Notre Dame.
Oh, that would be something.
Last time Notre Dame was in Neyland Stadium, it did not go well for them.
You know who would love that? Crom Carmichael, who grew up in South Bend. And his two favorite teams are Notre Dame and Tennessee. That would be fun.
Okay.
No, I'm talking about a sense of the American can-do spirit. I'm talking about, and let me just tell my personal story, because I think you're younger than I am, significantly.
I didn't fight at Antietam like you did, Mike.
That is a good line. And it wasn't Antietam; it was San Juan Hill.
Oh, sorry, so San Juan Hill wasn't Bull Run.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I grew up when Dwight Eisenhower was president, and then John F. Kennedy won. And of course, I was an Irish Catholic kid, Democrat at that time,
right,
in upstate New York, and who wouldn't want to be John F. Kennedy?
Of course.
And then when I was 8 years old, he was assassinated. And America went from a very positive place that was united to a very divided place that was filled with, conflict.
Right.
It feels like, from the time that Lyndon Johnson was president to the debacle in Vietnam, really up to Ronald Reagan. It was a bad time in American history. Reagan started sort of a rebirth of America. Then George H.W. Bush and Clinton, and Bush, and it just kind of went down, down, down. And I feel right now, today, that with the election of Donald J. Trump, we are about to enter, we're not about to become the shining city on a hill, which was the reference to the Puritans' arrival in Massachusetts, John Winthrop's phrase in the 1630s, early 1630. The phrase that was then used again by John F. Kennedy in some of his writings, and then by Ronald Reagan often. I don't think we're in the land of shining city on a hill. We're in the land of a golden age.
Right.
That's Trump's language, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can look at some commonalities in American history. I think that both the periods you identify as being down cycles in terms of the American spirit, both follow wars where we left them without a decisive outcome.
Vietnam,
the War on Terror. I mean, we were at war in the Middle East for 2 decades. That has a net effect on people, particularly in the heartland of this country and the South.
Where many young men were in combat, and women, and some of them died.
They did, and it robbed some of them of their families. Marriages have a hard time surviving multiple deployments. I mean, it has a net effect, and I think that I think if you look at the commonalities since World War II of those down cycles, you'll see them tied to indecisive wars. And I mean, Korea didn't have that effect on people, but I think there was more of a trust in institutions back then where people didn't question things so much.
So here's what I want to make the parallel to John F. Kennedy, that era of American optimism, can-do spirit, and where we are right now with Trump's tremendous election 3 weeks ago today. There is one commonality which struck me, and it wasn't something that really was on the list of things I thought America should do. But as events have developed here over the past several months, I'm beginning to not just warm to the idea, but think it's a really good idea. Famously, John F. Kennedy, when he was president, went down in, I think it was 1962, and gave a speech at Rice University. We will put a man on the moon in this decade, he said. Okay, fast forward 62 years later. So here we have, in July of this year, right after Donald Trump providentially survives an assassination attempt, Elon Musk, who you could argue is sort of the Benjamin Franklin of our times.
Right.
You could argue.
Yeah, sure.
Some commonalities there. He jumps all in, and he's all behind Donald Trump. And, I mean, that's a guy who's focused and knows how to get things done.
Right.
Pennsylvania is the key area. I'm going to go to Pennsylvania. I'm going to do a PAC, and I'm going to give them $1 million a day away to people, get their attention. I mean, it was just masterful. So what's interesting about this is, it was never something I really thought was significant, but now I kind of think I do.
You're seeing the parallels between the Kennedy's America and modern day?
In this regard, Trump, Musk has said he's got this SpaceX, and you saw the other intervening fact here is that beautiful landing of
Right.
the booster rocket
Right.
in the pincer. It's like out of.
Well, yeah, I get it. I think.
But I got to get to the point is
Okay.
the point on the policy thing. When John F. Kennedy in 1962 said, "We're going to put a man on the moon before the end of this decade,"
Mm-hmm.
not because it's easy, but because it's hard, and because we can do it. Well, Elon Musk says he can get a SpaceX to Mars unmanned in 2 years, and if that works, before the end of this decade, a manned exploration of Mars. I think that is important. I think that expands the capabilities of the United States of America and of mankind. And so I've come to view that kind of approach of optimism and can-do attitude as a very important element of the golden age of America.
Well, and I think it also is emerging from this period of, I don't know what else to call it, but self-loathing.
That's a great phrase. This is why we pay you the big bucks.
Yeah, I mean, we've come out of we're coming out of this period where most of the dialogue about this country has been about how terrible it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this: it's not just Democrats. I mean, I think there are elements on both sides of the aisle who have tried to dominate the dialogue by talking about what's wrong.
Wah wah.
And I think that there's room in people's imagination for American exceptionalism again. I think there's a belief that can be true. We've got some messes to clean up here at home. We've got to recognize the validity in the position that many legal immigrants take, that people should come to this country in the right way, the legal way.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have to recognize that the lines that many of us, the institutions and the boundaries that many of us, say Generation X and older, grew up with, don't exist anymore.
That's a key point.
So for example, the fact that we have a private sector businessman like Musk leading the space race and not NASA, that's a new thing. And that to those of us who grew up watching space shuttles land and rockets take off for the moon, that's kind of hard for us to get our heads around.
Mercury, Gemini, Apollo.
Right. But I mean, and so that's still a part of American history to be proud of.
Would you like the Ben Franklin comparison?
Sure.
So you know how one of the ways he made his money is during colonial periods, he had the franchise to run the post office. And it was privately run, and he ran the post office during the colonial period, and he franchised people all around to do that. And he was very effective, very efficient at it.
Yeah.
Private sector.
Right. And I mean, some of the biggest empires in the world have been built using the private sector. I mean, the British Empire was built using, ancillary government-backed private companies like the East India
Trading Company.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And did they always make the best decisions? No. But I mean, I'm just saying there are precedents in world history where the private sector has done what government could not.
The thing that I think needs to be addressed here, and the president is focused on this, and I think we here in Tennessee are focused on it now, is that our K-12 education system has really gone down a wrong path,
right,
over several decades. And you talk about self-loathing. I mean, you go into that. The American history that existed that I learned was a proud country where mistakes were made, but overall it did a great job.
Right.
If you go into an American classroom today in public school, it's like, my goodness, we were terrible, and we're still terrible.
Right.
That's not factually true. In fact, we are. I was talking with a friend about this before. When I wrote my book about the Tea Party movement, 2012, Covenant of Liberty, there was another author, James Bennett, who wrote about the Anglosphere as being the salvation of Western civilization. That is the principles of Anglo-American justice and liberty came from Great Britain, the United Kingdom. And his theory at that time is it was Great Britain, Canada, Australia, New Zealand would lead the way in Western civilization. In 12 years, that's changed.
Right.
There's only one bastion of liberty in the world today that's a major power. That's the United States of America.
Yeah.
And I think there is a bit of destiny in this, where it is the destiny of the United States to lead the world out of all of this, authoritarian, Marxist, groupthink that is destroying countries all over the place.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that there's a path. A lot of it is inward here in this country with some of the things you talked about. I'll take in the K-12 thing a step further. We've talked a lot in this country about equality over the last decade. Is it equal that you can't get the same education in inner city Nashville that you can get in Williamson County?
It's not.
It's not.
No.
And so do we blame a country and an ideal, or do we just hold the system accountable and change it?
I think the latter is the way to go.
Yeah.
So does Governor Bill Lee. We'll have more when we get back. It'll be time for News Potpourri. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. He's Clint Brewer.
Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea, a supplement to help you have a healthier heart and stronger cardiovascular system. At Soul Tea, we regularly get emails from our customers telling us how Soul Tea has helped them. Like this one from Kelly. Hello, I'm 58 years old and have had high cholesterol for years. I wanted to stay away from prescription drugs. My husband and I have been using Soul Tea for about 13 months. My results have been amazing. My cholesterol levels went from 291 to 129. I am so impressed with Soul Tea and want to thank you. Now, in my own case, my bad cholesterol dropped from 130 to 89, and that was 20 years ago. I'm 75 years old and I take 0 prescription drugs. To get a great deal on Soul Tea, please go to GodzillaHeart.com, and when you check out, use the code Godzilla to get our best deal, which is 50% off your first shipment and then 3 bottles for the price of 2 thereafter. You don't have to live with a broken heart.
Do you suffer from
Try
declining
Soul
bone
Tea
and
today.
joint health? Hi, it's Tina with the John Fredericks Media Network. And when I heard about our company's Women's Challenge, I jumped on the opportunity to test this amazing supplement that's already restoring my bone density, soothing my joint pain, and helping me regain lost mobility. I've experienced so many benefits in such a short time with Native Path Collagen Peptides because they support my bones and joints, boost my metabolism, and unleash the most radiant skin and hair since my 20s. In just 2 weeks, my knee stiffness is gone, and I'm already hitting the gym more aggressively. And I get so many compliments on my glowy skin and shiny hair. Native Path Collagen Peptides are so easy to take. They're tasteless, odorless, and mix great with my morning coffee. Read thousands of 5-star reviews at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Level up your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today. And get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to HealthyCell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's HealthyCell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. In studio, all-star panelist Clint Brewer. Clint, it's that time of day again. It's time for News Potpourri.
Still no Rocky Top.
Still no Rocky Top, but we have News Potpourri. This portion of the program, we talk about those stories that are of note, don't necessarily merit a full segment, and have a touch of irony. Yeah, I can confirm now. There's a little sports stuff here.
Okay.
Mac Brown has been fired as the coach of North Carolina. He's out. Yeah.
It's his second stint at North Carolina, as I recall.
He's had a winning record both times, but it's been a little disappointing. He's 6-5 this year. He's 73.
Yeah.
And I think they think he's a little bit past his prime. He won a national championship in Texas.
Right. Isn't that about where North Carolina usually finishes?
It's about where they usually finish.
I'm not sure they've ever gotten different results than that, except for when he coached the first time.
Yeah, I think he did a little better coaching the first time.
Yeah.
But he's done well this time, and he's
won a national championship in Texas.
Yeah, I think it's just a question of his being a little bit old.
Right.
You know,
well,
at 73. But, you know, look, Mac Brown, he's from Cookeville.
And
yeah. He played at Vandy for
his brother coached at Vandy.
His brother was
in Tech.
His brother Watson was the quarterback, and was a quarterback at Vandy, and he was in the running back.
Yeah.
And then transferred to Florida State after his brother graduated.
I get the age thing, but I'm just not sure North Carolina's to do much better than.
It's a basketball school.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, so Indiana University was undefeated in football. It's not a football school, folks.
Playing nobody. Let's be real.
Yeah, and then they go to Ohio State and just get crushed 38-15.
Yeah.
I don't think Indiana's ever going to be a football school.
We will gladly extend sort of a temporary status if they want to play in the SEC for a year and see how they do. They can go ask Oklahoma about that.
Ooh, Oklahoma, yeah. Except they beat Alabama 24-3.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, down year for Alabama. Okay, yeah, this guy clearly wants to be president. His name is Gavin Newsom, governor of California.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
He's really such a weasel. You know what I mean?
Is he term limited?
I think he is.
Because I'm hearing Kamala Harris running for governor of California.
I'm hearing that. We'll talk about that here in a bit. But so he is now supporting tax-funded electric vehicle rebates, except for Tesla. Did you see that? What are you doing, man? Tesla is like the dominant. It's the only EV company that's making any money.
It's the only one I see on the road. I mean,
it's a good vehicle as an EV. I mean, yeah. I'm not an EV guy. I wouldn't buy it, but it's a pretty good performer in the land of EV. He knows how to do EVs. It's just pure political boulder dash. Okay, so yeah. So I don't know what it is about people that they just have, poll masochism, right? So a poll has come out.
Oh boy, we're still doing polls. There ought to be a national law that you get a 6-month break.
Yeah. So this would apply to this thing. So they did the poll of who's the front runner for 28.
For which party?
Democrat and
the poll I saw said it was Kamala Harris.
I know, but that's the one poll. What does that? That means nothing.
No.
What all that means, she was a front runner because it's name ID.
Yeah.
She's top of mind.
Right.
Except not really.
Right.
She's out of mind.
Right.
In many respects, and properly so.
So who was number 2 behind her?
I think Gavin went she was at 40%. He was at 8%. The guy desperately wants to be president, but he just wants to be president to be president.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, his policies are
I don't really see a governor of California getting elected president.
No, because you know who they bring? It's a little bit of a twist on that famous 1936 saying, which I'm sure you remember. When Alf Landon was a Republican nominee, the governor of Kansas, he ran against he ran against FDR, who was running for a second term, and James Farley, the famous political guy, became the head of the post office under Postmaster General under Roosevelt. said there were two states. There were only two states that landed, two Republican states at the time. And it used to be the saying, since James Garfield won in the 1880s, as Maine goes, so grows the country. Right? Remember that?
The bellwether state.
Yeah, the bellwether
sure.
state.
Sure.
Well, in 36, Landon, the Republican, won only two states. And Farley famously quipped, as Maine goes, so goes Vermont. Right?
Right.
So taking that to California, as California goes, so goes Massachusetts. Right?
Yeah, they're kind of an outlier, right? I mean,
I guess.
politically, if a vice president of the United States from California can't win, I don't see how a governor from California can win.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, because
a lot of the analysis I see, though, Mike, is that, the Democrats are counting on Trump being an outlier. Like, he's been famous for 45 years. This is not a normal politician versus politician race. Like, when we get back to where Democrats aren't running against a celebrity, it'll all be normal again, and they'll get back to winning. That was my reading.
That's how they look at it.
That's how they looked at it. That was the analysis I heard this week.
Yeah, but the phrase that comes to mind is stale, as we talked about.
Right.
They went through. They don't understand how dramatically the country has changed in the 9 years since Trump started, and regime media is dying.
Yeah.
And look, all of the old stalwarts aren't connecting. Barack Obama was dreadful on the campaign.
Oh, yeah, and his people did a terrible job.
Michelle Obama.
They got to find some
Hillary
new talent.
Clinton,
They got to find new talent.
There's it's
the bench is thin.
They're stuck in 2012.
Yeah, they haven't moved much past that. And I think the same people who lost the Clinton campaign in 2016, a lot of them lost this one.
I know. But where do they go? Where is the new talent? Where are the new ideas on the Democratic side? I'm with you. This Seth Moulton, right, the congressman from Massachusetts, his big thing is he's like against transgenderism. Well, he may not survive a primary challenge.
Right.
Because they're gone far, far, far to the left.
Yeah. And I think there's always a way back for a political party, but hard to see one at the moment.
Let me go back to the beginning.
I'd love to see Gavin Newsom and J.D. Vance debate is what I would like to see.
That'd be great.
That would be fun.
We are about to enter a golden age. I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Mike. You too.
All right, Clint, thanks for joining us. Up next, Rob Carson. And tomorrow, E.J. Haas will be sitting in for me in the first hour. Aaron Goldbertson in the next 2 hours. I'll be back on Monday. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving. This is Michael Patrick Leahy. I want to say a word about my good friend Dustin Damon. Dustin is the best handyman in Middle Tennessee. Call Dustin today at 724-683-4400. That's 724-683-4400 if you have a job around the house that you just haven't gotten around to. If you're busy like me, you just may not have the time to fix that broken mailbox, repair the back porch, or get that old light fixture back to working properly. Do what I did. Call Dustin Damon today at 724-683-4400, and he will bring his truck and tools to your house and get that job done lickety-split. Dustin's main service area is Williamson County and the southern part of Davidson County. So call Dustin Damon, the best handyman in Middle Tennessee today, at 724-683-4400. Tell him you heard about him on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. The Chief Team reminds listeners here that more and more veterans will be returning home over the next few years, and many are local. These heroes have elite military training and valuable professional skills, but they also need jobs too. That's why the Chief Team is encouraging all local businesses. Let's make it the year we hire smart and hire veterans. That's from the Chief Team, where they say service isn't just a courtesy, it's a commitment. For more information, call 931-444-3572. That's 931-444-3572 for the Chief Team in Clarksville.
The Black preaching tradition is deeply connected to gospel music.
PBS presents a new series hosted by Henry Louis Gates Jr., Gospel.
Our singers preach and our preachers sing.
Gospel is a prayer. It is our heart's cry to God in lyrics and song.
You feel it deep down in your soul.
Gospel. Streaming now on the PBS app.